meeting of the Bethlehem Township Planning Board to order, 7:35 p.m. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with section 3B of chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, commonly known as the Sunshine Law. Roll call.
Paul Muir. Jose Reyes. Judy Nelson. Here. Grace Ann Kelly. Here. Ryan Messinger.
Here.
Jose Maderos. Philip Bellin. Brad Nelson.
Here.
Ken Chalet.
Here.
Jeff Coletti. Steve DiLorenzo.
Here.
Daniel McDonald.
Here.
Scott Wilhelm.
Present.
And Michael Davis.
Here. Please follow the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which it stands,
one nation
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Make a motion to open the public for agenda item comments.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Again, Roger for 24 Charleston Road. Did I just hear that Bill Bellin doesn't have to recuse himself, that he has no financial interest?
It was the question, but Bill's not here to answer it, so he's not participating in this anyway. But we were trying to find out how that is. But any interest that Phil has is from a previous round, not this round. So it's already the third round that was involved with the overlay.
So he does have a financial interest. He's been saying for years he wants to retire and sell that property. To me, that would be a very clear financial interest, and I do not think it's appropriate that he participates in any kind of overlay discussion, even if it's from the other round. Specifically, that he would benefit. Thank you.
Or
Barbara Cochran, 507 Charlestown Road. Do we ask questions about the plan now? Or
yeah, we're gonna ask after we hear the highlights of everything,
Okay.
then all the questions you'd like.
Okay.
Motion to close it, motion to close the vote,
So moved.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Ready, give us the.
All right.
What's the line now?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, the plan in front of you today is an element of the master plan, the fourth round housing element fair share plan for Bethlehem Township. The reason that this plan is in front of you today is last year, the state legislation, New Jersey adopted new regulations for affordable housing. Previously, affordable housing planning was very chaotic. There was a lot of lawsuits, a lot of different court cases that changed a lot of different things. What the state did last year was establish new rules and procedures and timelines of when things are due. So just some of the more important dates, in October of last year, the Department of Community Affairs released numbers that gave every municipality an obligation of affordable housing units for the round 2025 to 2035. That's the date for it. So essentially, what that number did was give every town, hey, here's what the state thinks your required obligation is. In January, municipalities either accepted or challenged that number. In Bethlehem Township case, we accepted the number based on there was no justifiable challenge to pursue. So the number was accepted of 51 for the fourth round. And then the next important date is in a week, June 30th, every municipality in the state has to adopt a housing element fair share plan at the planning board that addresses the fourth round. So as a summary of the previous rounds of planning, the prior round, which existed from 1987 to 1999, was 42 units. Third round, which was 1999 to the end of this month, was 155 units, and this round is 51 units. So there's differences in the numbers and the timeline of each round, and you can see it was a little disjointed throughout the past. So the plan itself, and this is really one of the benefits of the work that the township has done in becoming a conforming municipality with the Highlands, is the Highlands actually provided a build up portal. And it was a really useful mapping tool online where they went through and pretty much did what's called a vacant land analysis for every municipality that's conforming. And essentially that mapping exercise resulted in the fact that none of the land within Bethlehem Township is appropriate or suitable to support a multifamily development. And I think that everyone sitting on this board can understand why and how that comes. There's a lot of sewer, utility, infrastructure needs that aren't really there right now. So that's really what comes out of the Highlands Build Out Portal. So that essentially results in a realistic development potential of 0 units for the 4th round. So everything that is existing from the prior and 3rd rounds still exists. The existing overlays remain. There's nothing is changing about them at all. And the previous 3rd round had a durational adjustment as well, which is similar in stating that the township does not have the capacity, water, sewer, to support these kinds of developments. So it is possible that a developer could come with some sort of private system, but those systems are incredibly expensive. So that becomes a real financial challenge. So that's pretty much my high level summary. If there's any specific questions or anything, I'm gonna be glad to answer.
I read through the document, some of the data is starting to age. Like the census status and the home value and stuff like that is aging, but I don't know if that has any impact on any decisions other than it's just the background.
Yeah.
And, that was like the one thing I picked up on, otherwise it was everything that we basically have been discussing for the last year or so.
Yeah, and I totally appreciate that. The census data comes from a sort of resource, a data set that we can't change at all.
Right.
I've totally seen instances in the past, and even like employment numbers and labor statistics, sometimes they're by area code, and sometimes they're by municipality, and sometimes they're by region. So there's a little bit of maybe intricacies in the data that may not align with how it thinks.
Does the state, is that how they calculate our number, is based on some of that data? or-
Yeah, and the census.
I know not.
Yeah, so this is what the census is for. They do the census for real every 10 years.
Right.
And then they have American Community Surveys in between that kind of extrapolate data and estimate things. So those are where they get a little bit, I guess, not too accurate. So, but yeah, that's that. It is kind of the data sets that we have to use.
Yep.
And I agree, most of what we discussed is in here. Just on, I noticed on page 44,
Yes.
there was a correction.
Yes,
Okay.
I will mention that. Thank you. I
Okay.
forgot to mention that.
No,
On
that's
page-
okay.
Yes, on page 44, there was a typo. It said Washington Township instead of Bethlehem Township in the 2nd paragraph from the top. So just as a note for the record, that was a typo. That will be changed to Bethlehem Township.
It's actually been changed.
Yeah,
Everybody's.
we've
Oh,
since.
okay.
It's a non-sensitive change. It doesn't impact anything with the plan. It's a very minor change.
If I were to summarize what we're doing for the 51 units. Is we're gonna continue our accessory apartment program and adopt this mandatory set aside ordinance, and that's our way of attempting to fulfill the 51 units unmet.
It pretty much, exactly, unmet future need, it becomes a future problem because we currently don't have the ability to take it. So, and this stuff doesn't go away, like the prior round and the 3rd round, they never, the numbers never, those numbers never go away, so there are opportunities, like our Highlands Build Out to do that, and accessory apartment programs, are good options, and we haven't locked anything down yet, but that's something that the state, I'm looking for, it's give us more opportunities and mechanisms to provide affordable units, because it's have massive developers, or you're kind of out of luck.
So can I ask, just for my own understanding, so in prior rounds, to meet our obligation, we were compelled to create overlays, right? So what's different about this round that we wouldn't have to go down that same road, that we could suddenly have this additional accessory apartment plan?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. So this Highlands Build Out Portal and the Highlands involvement in the new legislation was more so than has ever been before. The Highlands area was actually specifically called out as a preservation area, and it was specifically mentioned in the legislation. So the Highlands' ability to support their conforming municipalities through the 4th round has become a lot stronger. So essentially, their the Highlands coming in and saying, this is not gonna fly with our regulations, because the Highlands are essentially they're up there with the state level, so, them saying their involvement from the legislative side in the law, was a lot more impactful in the fourth round than it has been in the past.
So, and I guess maybe this is more of a legal question, if the Highlands was able to make an argument that will protect some of Bethlehem Township lands for the fourth round, why would that not then apply sort of?
It very well may, it very well may, if, the goals of the Highlands that outweigh the goals and abilities of developers to get things moving, then, yeah, it's a balance. I mean, the Highlands has done a very good job of protecting the environment and the resources here. So, I don't see that stopping in the future, to be honest, but again, it's with future hypotheticals with affordable housing, I really try not to go there because the past 10 years, are just all over the place.
So, along those lines of hypotheticals, when we talk about the accessory apartment program or the mandatory set aside ordinance, do we have any requirements to, prove that those are reasonable measures that we've taken or that they're effective?
Yeah, no, definitely. There's reporting with the new legislation that's gonna be required annually. And we'll make sure we'll have to fill this out in an online system that assuming someone's gonna be reviewing and saying, hey, it looks like this hasn't been too productive, maybe what do we need to do? But the mandatory set aside ordinance and accessory apartment programs are accepted and established and utilized throughout the state for sort of like extra units, unmet need. It's kind of like the only way to plan for it, because we're not going and picking the property. So we just kind of have to say anywhere in town, if you're over 6 units, you have to provide one for.
So it's not something that somebody could retroactively come back and say like, listen, this wasn't good, you weren't gonna have a take on this.
Yeah, no, this is an accepted accessory apartment programs, mandatory set aside, accessory dwelling units, another one that's kind of getting kicked around the state. Just
As long as we advertise it. I think that was the only mandated component. So if it's in our newsletter, if it's on the website.
yeah, there is marketing that we have that is associated with that, as far as, and just staying on top of things. There are a lot of boxes to check to make sure those programs are, the township's doing what they can.
Now, this is 258 affordable housing units.
Mhm.
Okay, so above this, that's where the building remedy cost comes in. Where
Yes,
for every, so in theory, we could multiply this by 4, and that's what it,
yeah,
so it's 258 times 4 is what it would actually be
actually, yeah.
in our town, so it's 1,200 units, not 258.
Yeah, because when you think about affordable units, it's typically provided a 1-to-5 ratio, 20% ratio, because a developer needs that extra 4 market rate units to offset the cost of the 1 inclusionary unit. It's saying 2x4s go in an affordable unit. And there may not be granite countertops and all the bells and whistles, but it still typically costs about the same to construct, so there's kind of an offset there.
And then we submit this also to the Highlands.
Yeah, the high,
Because they become like almost the legislative body.
yeah.
Right.
A protector, yeah.
That's
exactly.
that, this
It's
guy
really-
has to
yeah,
be.
it's great. So, yeah, no, they're aware, we've worked closely with them on these plans of, and yeah, and they've been very good help. So they'll be around for sure.
I had an email from Paul.
Yeah.
That said that he wanted me to share, after review of the fourth round housing element and fair share housing plan, I support the planning board members to support the plan as presented and vote to deem it not inconsistent with the master plan.
Okay. Any other questions for open public? Motion for open public?
Motion over the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Dan.
I didn't understand what, Ron's question and the answer, can you say that again? I missed that. It's about the fact that the fourth round, and the portal said 0, and is it in here that says that, whatever you just said? And can you repeat that again, but I,
Yeah, so page the top of page 43 has a summary of the Highlands build out.
Okay,
I can read it for you.
okay.
Due to the unique natural resource and environmental sensitivity of the Highlands region, the revised Fair Housing Act adopted March 2024 directs the DCA and Highlands municipalities to account for the Highlands Regional Master Plan when considering affordable housing. Do you want me to go through this or just? Okay. So basically, the Highlands provided a mapping tool that's very similar to a vacant land assessment. That is a tool that is utilized in municipalities that don't have enough vacant land. So that's kind of the opposite, where they don't have any vacant land to develop, so they say, how can I build it? So in this instance, we're saying we don't have the infrastructure or ability to develop it because of the Highlands regulations and because of the lack of sewer and water. So essentially, this build out portal did an analysis of regulations, and it provided that there is no developable properties within Bethlehem Township that are suitable for.
Except the overlay zone,
Yes, they're already accounted for.
so
They're
the
existing.
third round and prior rounds are already,
They're existing. There's nothing changing with those overlay zones as proposed in this
I'm
plan.
saying, so the 51 units could be built on that overlay zone.
They're good.
If it fits, yeah.
That's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah,
So,
those-
what you're saying, there doesn't need to be a new overlay.
Correct. Yeah, those overlays are existing.
So it's just a kind of worded along in the sense of there's 0 units. But it technically could be put on that over in the overlay, the 16 and the age.
Those are, something could go out part of the, so let's.
We just put a proposal for.
It could be an application coming in today for those projects.
I understand.
Yes.
So that's why I couldn't understand how you answered and what you meant by that. It was a little confusing to me.
But it's not necessarily like a first in, first out kind of formula where you say, all right, well, we have 30 units now, that comes out of round one. 30 less from round, that doesn't work like it, it's more just like we have a bucket.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that bucket includes 51 additional units,
Right.
not 0 additional units.
Correct.
So I think that the way that this is worded is just very misleading.
I think what the Highland buildup does is it prevents us from doing, like Ryan said, another overlay somewhere. It's basically the Highlands has
We're stuck.
Yeah,
power within the state to say that one time, can't do any
Yes.
anymore.
exactly.
So it's okay if they don't meet their needs
Yeah.
for this 51.
You could have just said that the existing overlay that was done in the last round is applicable. Right?
This is a plan that was carefully drafted by our planning firm that complies with the state regulations. And the last round did not really can't just roll that over. There was an entire new regulation, the entire new bill, A4S50 was adopted last year that revamped the rules. So it wasn't necessarily take what we did in the third round and just roll it forward. And the Highlands build out is actually, in my mind, more effective than just saying we don't have sewer. I think having the Highlands justification and backup of the mapping is more
Well-
influential and impactful.
And my other question is, I think Barbara might be reading stuff too, is karst mentioned in here for that property? And also, I thought I saw that that in this plan, again, it was from the previous, for the overlay that, tapping into the neighboring, infrastructure was a possibility. I thought I read that, and I can't find where I read it, but I thought I saw that.
It's possible that it's in there. If you could find it for me, I could maybe let you know, but it's a 76-page document. What was the first page question? What was the first question?
So the first question was about karst. Is there any mention?
I don't know who that is.
You don't know what karst is?
Ours?
Karst.
No.
You're a planner, you don't know what karst is.
No, I'm not.
Limestone.
Okay.
The
What
whole
is-
valley is limestone, and we have a limestone ordinance, and it prohibits building, and it could potentially affect what you do down in that valley.
Okay. That doesn't really need to be in this plan.
Yeah.
My turn.
You're welcome.
So, I have a. How did the state planning affect the third round? The state plan,
The state plan, state development and redevelopment plan?
yeah, how the planning of the whole state, how did they impact the latest round of affordable housing
The third round or the fourth round?
for?
Fourth. So there are currently the state plans in draft right now, preliminary draft plans that haven't released any concrete adopted updates to it yet. I know they're working on the cross acceptance process in the background. But there was not, I mean, it comes into play, but the Highlands, is over the state plan, the Highlands regulates in the Highlands region and not the state plan, so it doesn't really come into play too
But the
much.
state laws, they override the Highlands, and the Highlands. override-
Yes, but if you look at the state plan, there is a cutout Highlands area that says Highlands Preservation, Highlands Planning Area, and they have jurisdiction within the
So
Highlands.
it's
Same with the
still-
Pine.
It still has to be fleshed out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a discussion in the state plan.
Then I have, there's no okay, round one.
Like through 2 rounds.
The first round. It said that the ARC rehabilitation housing was big. No, it was not. Because it was going to be next to Heritage Park and then Park left. So I think those were 4 units. I'm counting on my memory, so I might be.
I think.
Well, there were credits plus bonus units.
This says-
Yeah.
This is a proposed group home development.
So it's still proposed with the same proposal which they did not accept?
To my understanding, it's still a proposed project.
Yeah.
That's very weird, okay. Sorry, I'm not finished. Can you give an example of accessory apartments, of which would be on what the latest round will rely upon? Okay, I didn't make a sentence right. Late round. It says that it's going to be based on, on accessory apartment. Can you give us an example of what this program is all about, and an example within the township boundaries?
I don't think there have been any approved accessory apartments in the township specifically, to my knowledge. I've only been here for about a little over 12 months, so I don't have the existing historical knowledge, but there are a lot of different options and opportunities for accessory apartments. Basically, when you start to add additional living units to a building, it starts to get into multifamily territory and the regulations become a lot different. So essentially what that is getting at is supporting those types of sort of, and this is, there's a housing problem throughout the state, and the problem, you don't want to take the vacant land. So basically, the idea is you have enough property, you can build a little accessory dwelling unit or accessory apartment addition on your property.
And what does the program offer to the owner? For
Yeah,
help?
the specifics haven't been hashed out yet.
Oh,
I mean, previously, it's something around $20,000.
That
If I remember
the,
correctly.
that the owner would get, the property
The
owner?
property owner would get 20,000 from,
retrofit.
No, to allow.
to help offset the cost of building the actual unit.
And for 10 years.
Yeah, it has to remain like that,
And then-
10-year gap.
And then it has to stay for 10 years.
Deed
Yes.
restriction.
It's deed
Yes.
restricted. And you don't have a choice on, then the county would then fill it for you.
So
So you can't take like a relative and put a relative in there and then that'd be, the county has to, you could build it. You would notify the county that it's available, then the county can fill it for you.
So that's part of fulfilling the
It's-
latest round.
It's one of the challenges that I've heard that a lot of individuals don't, it's, you can't pick who goes into it,
Right.
so.
And then what is missing from the description of the overlay? It just says that it's all surrounded by agricultural land. It doesn't, not specific that it's surrounded by preserved agriculture. I think that it is important. And not only, it's part of a highlands constrained agricultural area. And you know that.
Thank you.
I'm not finished.
I was just,
Sorry.
I was fine.
Is it your 5 minutes up?
No, it's good.
With, okay, one more. We passed the redevelopment corridor land use. You wrote it. So would affordable housing could be in that corridor, which I would think is more suitable because it has a highway, right? It takes you to a job, it takes you,
I know.
it has a trans,
The intention of that land use element,
sorry?
that was like a land use element just for the commercial
Yeah,
area, and
It's
now
only commercial,
that was the intention.
so affordable housing,
Again, residential units can be put into any zone if they come for a variance for that. But I also, I'm pretty sure about case law, you can't segregate out affordable housing units into a part of town that is a commercial zone to put affordable housing units in. They have to be intermixed with the general population. So we couldn't just say, well, we're gonna put affordable housing there, because then the other half, we have the whole builder's remedy clause.
Sure.
So if they're building, 200 units here, where's the other, 1,000 units going? They have to go somewhere, so I know that the Hills development is in,
yes,
Fort Hills.
but in
Yeah,
any
say-
case,
say
in
that's
any
what I'm
case,
calling.
affordable housing is always, only a percentage of a development, right?
Not always. They're 100% affordable.
100%, and
They do
so,
exist.
for example, Union, right, where they want to build the Union Township, they want to build a big affordable housing, all affordable housing, how would that be not regulated against them? How would that be confined?
I don't know what project you're referring to, I'm sorry. So I can't speak to it.
I don't know the zoning of the.
I don't know.
I'm assuming that's like a-
Assuming that's a commercial
Well,
lot.
besides, I'm not saying that, but if there is, I find it more suitable because, the valley there has a little road. Doesn't have any paths.
There's a lot of challenges for development period, and, it's, I think the town has pretty much, tried to limit development. But this is, the state has forced this on every single town, there's numerous lawsuits, towns have sued the state against, getting out of this, and they've lost. So. And this went to the state Supreme Court in 1978,
So.
so it's been around for a while.
It started 5.
1975, yeah. No,
They have to find.
Now, we're gonna get a new governor at the end of the year, so we have no idea what's gonna happen.
That's why I don't like to talk in hypothetical situations about
That's why
what
we can't-
happened here, what the town's doing, it's really hard to say.
we have to get through with what we have to get through because it's being.
Yeah, I have a lot of
Down the town's
questions.
throat.
And this is, your project, you said you don't like projections, but the projection from New Jersey TPA is ridiculous. I find it a dreamline.
I didn't make it.
Did you?
I did not make it, I did not make it. From
Table 30, page 34, NJTPA projections.
Yes, do you see the source at the bottom? That's
No.
where it came from. We did not make those numbers up, that was
Well,
numbers.
but you're
that was-
responsible for putting it on a document.
Yeah,
that has
So that's the
voted.
information we'll see.
This is the information that we are required to use by the Fair Housing Act from the Regional Planning Association for that Bethlehem Township exists within. Those are the only entities that create that data. It may be skewed and you may not agree with it, but those are the only entities that put it out.
Is this thing ridiculous?
There is a methodology that you can probably look up and figure out how they came up with it. and
Sure,
it-
sure.
The
No, just
statistician.
added in such a document, I thought it was, thank you.
And more questions? So, a few questions, could township be, well, two questions, one is can the township be kind of, accused of just kicking the can down the road and, you know, you have all these words proposed and we haven't done shit. So, you know, we had
Well-
one builder's remedy way back when, and we have whatever the, is on 579, and that's it. So to me, if I was working for the state, I'd be reading this and going, there's not really a committed, you know, effort
I
here.
don't think it's not fair in that we don't have the infrastructure. So nothing is stopping a builder from coming in here right now, coming to the township committee, saying, I have a plan to build 50 houses in the valley. They can put a plan out there, as long as it can meet all the DEP regulations, it can do water, it can do sewer. If they can cover all of that, they can build it today. And they could probably come in front of this board with 5 or 6 story building. If they can justify it, and they can build that, as long as they hit these numbers. Because the whole point is, it's total disregard to our zoning laws. They can build anything that they want, as long as it meets these numbers. So there's not a lot that we can do. If they can have an engineer that's sitting here that can show how they can build on a, you know, in a limestone area where they can get rid of the wastewater, where they can do all that, they can build.
I know you're telling me that, I guess I feel like I would have wanted that to be more stronger in this plan, written in this plan. To that effect. To me,
Well,
it seems very like,
It's repeated over and over, and you can reference what the Highlands and whatever, and the state itself knows about what they can be done with the land in Bethlehem Township.
okay, well, I don't, if I was only reading this. And let's say the Highlands changes, which could happen. I don't see what you're reading, and that's my own opinion. I don't feel that it's strong enough in basically what you just said. That's my own opinion.
Well, that's what, I mean, the state, Highlands is part of the state, DEP is part of the state, and we have a bunch of people that are in Trenton that are making a bunch of rules. That's what it's all coming down to.
I'm just.
And everybody's working together for the state, and all those towns have to listen to what these decisions are.
Okay, it's, the way it's worded is just, that's my opinion, and I think I said it the first time, and I don't like where the overlay is, blah, blah, blah. That's just my opinion. It could be rewritten differently if. That's my opinion. Then my other question is,
The other thing about Suzanne, about the overlay, just to let you know, this was a settlement with a court. This was a judge's settlement also.
I said I didn't like where the overlay moved to. That's what I said. I didn't argue about the overlay, I argued about that it was moved, and I argued that point when it was moved. Anyway, I have a question. The planner mentioned they're gonna need to be marked reporting. Can you elaborate what that means and who's gonna be doing this and how is that gonna make sure that reporting, whatever this is, gonna be continued for how long?
Yeah, so I believe it is February 15th is the new date that they established. There has been reporting in the past for fire municipalities, and it was very disorganized and very, all over the place. Nobody in the state was on top of it. A lot of towns were on top of it. So they established a new online portal to fill it all out. And I believe the township has adopted a resolution for municipal housing liaison. Yes, so there is a new position called municipal housing liaison that has just been established, that, to my understanding, there have been no courses to teach that person how to do that job yet. So a lot of the municipal housing liaisons got appointed and they have new responsibilities, and they're still waiting for the courses, and the state's still putting this out. I mean, we got judicial procedures for this year. And then this is all very fluid, but we will be on top of the reporting. We're already into the system, and again, as you can see, there's not gonna be too much about the report. There's not a lot of non-residential development fees that come in, but we will be on top of it.
So we being the planner, whoever the planning board hires.
Township, it would probably be township planner.
So what do you mean?
The
by
township planner will probably work with the municipal housing liaison and potentially Monica or whoever else needs to be looped in. I don't know exactly who's that role is gonna be yet, we're not there yet.
And it's a yearly reporting as far as you know?
Yes,
And did we assign, did the township assign a municipal housing?
We passed the resolution,
We didn't hire
I
anybody.
have to go back and look, we didn't hire anybody, no, at this point.
a lot of towns are figuring that out.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows what it is or it isn't yet, so it's been really hard to figure out what that role is.
But at this point, it's what we do in February, would you say?
February 15th is my understanding, is that's gonna be their new annual deadline.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions on Zoom? Make a motion to close the public,
So moved.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any other board members have any questions, comments on this? So in front of you,
You have to vote, which
we're
one?
gonna vote to find that the fourth round housing element fair share plan. We adopted it being not inconsistent with our master plan.
Before we do that, vote, did you get our final answer on Phil? And whether he should recuse himself?
It was a personal decision.
As a personal. Scott, you wanna explain, because Phil is here now?
Yeah, sure. The decision on whether to recuse of a board member is solely a board member's decision. And if the board member has a pecuniary, being financial, or a personal interest in the matter, they should recuse themselves. When I advise boards or anyone, my position is always to take a very conservative approach. And if that member thinks anybody could make a plausible claim that you have a personal or pecuniary interest in it, then you should recuse yourself just in an abundance of caution to avoid problems down the road. But that's a decision for the board member to make.
To be fair to Phil too, would it be appropriate to say why this just came about too? That someone from the public mentioned it.
Sure.
Well, yeah, concern I think Phil is that your property's in the third round overlay.
Yeah.
So then, do you,
But they skipped over my property.
oh, you're not in,
I,
you're not in the overlay?
I'm in the overlay where they're supposed to build, skipped my two properties. So they would build it around my property.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
I would choose. I was not voting against it.
So, Mr. Bellin, you need to make a decision at this time whether you're going to recuse yourself or not.
I did already.
Yeah,
Yeah. you
Oh,
just said-
okay. I'm sorry.
yes. But Phil is gonna recuse himself. Alright,
I make a motion to vote to adopt the fourth round housing loans and fair plan, and that stating that it's not inconsistent with our master plan.
I'll second that.
motion. Any second, any further discussion? Roll call?
Judy Nelson? Yes. Grace Ann Kelly?
Yes.
Ryan Messinger?
Yes.
Brad Nelson?
Yes.
Ken Shalay?
Yes.
That's 5. How many do I need?
Dr. Bowman?
Keep going. Okay, Steve Lorenzo?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Frank Dan? Daniel McDonald.
Okay.
All right.
Alright, motion passes. Now, in front of us, we have resolution 2025-07.
Bethlehem spelled wrong on the top.
I didn't do that, I'm just saying.
No, you, I mean, but I know you're going to correct it. You'll be the corrector. On both of those.
Smart.
All right, so we have the two spelling.
Yeah.
Spelling, the A on it that you said, and the roll call's gonna be corrected to, as the people are present here. Yeah. Right. Don't refuse. Okay, Dan, that's what you said. Well, with that. Whatever, yeah. And motion made to approve resolution 2025-07 with the changes in the spelling of Bethlehem. The A on the end of NJSA on page 2, line 5, and the roll call vote being corrected. The recusal of Phil Bellin. With the removal of Jose Maderos, Jeff Colletti, Paul Mueller, Jose Reyes, all to the aye.
I make a motion to accept the board resolution number 2025-07 with the corrections that the chair just made.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Judy Nelson,
Yes.
Grace Ann Kelly.
Yes.
Ryan Messinger,
Yes.
Brad Nelson,
Yes.
Ken Shalay,
Yes.
Steve Q Lorenzo,
Yes.
Danny McDowell.
Yes.
That's careful. We're good?
Thank you. Thank you for your work on this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Into the.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Anything else, Scott, we gotta deal with or worry about on this?
No, you just have to pass it. You have a memorializing resolution. We'll make those minor corrections. You can have that signed promptly and delivered to the township committee. It's up to the township governing body to take it from there.
Very good.
So Scott,
Yes.
after this meeting, should I just go in and make the changes, or will you send me an updated copy? Just let me
Um,
know, so you can get Kate to sign it tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you an updated copy momentarily. I just want to confirm with you when the meeting's over what the corrections were to make sure I didn't miss it.
Absolutely, okay.
All right, I need a motion to open the public.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Yes, Suzanne.
Yes. Can you, I think the last planning board, when it was online, you mentioned you have a bunch of applications coming before the board, is that correct? So like next meeting, you'll have at least one of.
Nothing has been returned as far as I know yet. There's been many that have gone out and there's been discussions by residents. So they need to come in and fill out applications and return applications prior to that. So until we have something, there's we're looking at it busier summer than typically. So we'll say
Oh, not,
there's nothing here yet right now, nothing that I know of.
maybe I didn't understand the meeting. Okay. And wasn't there another, during this summer, the planner was supposed to work on another part of the element of the master plan, but I don't remember what the timeline was. Wasn't there another element that was gonna be worked on? Or do I have that wrong?
I'd love to get through June. And everything talk.
Yeah. At this point, the whole state's been worrying about this, so we're not.
Maybe I'm just remembering.
This has been a priority.
Another.
This has been everything.
That we're gonna work on, but we don't be.
Yeah, we are working on, we're working on a new application. I've just been putting a lot of work into putting a new application, together for us to basically start looking at, so we'll probably have something to look at the next couple meetings.
I think you're probably referring to this, we had discussed this.
Yes,
Yeah.
So we just haven't, we haven't
Yeah.
taken it around as to which sections we're gonna discuss and what.
and we can kick off the conversations with Corey and Highlands to regarding that stuff.
That was the sheet.
With all the different elements.
Different
Yeah.
elements,
That
that
was like,
we walked around,
Yeah,
yeah.
we
Just
kind of-
2 and 3, 4 and 5. We
Yeah.
kept doing round robin on that one.
Hope to have on that, website, like, challenges or, you know, we can check off. Cause I keep losing track of what elements where and when and the date, always helpful. And we know how easy it is to have the website updated.
All right, Judy, anything?
um,
Oh, sorry, it's supposed to be public. But
yeah,
is there any more public comment? Anybody on Zoom? Motion to close the public,
So moved.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye. Couple of things, because it did mention that, and this whole process gets finalized by the township committee, I wanted to just clarify that the June 30th deadline was for planning board adoption only. Because the next township committee meeting is not until July 17th. Don't quote me on that, I tend to get my dates wrong. But I believe it's July 17th, we're not meeting until then, because we meet once a month in the summer, because hard to get a quorum. So then we double checked and made sure that was, we didn't have to have a special meeting of the township committee by June 30th. So we are in compliance with the process. So I just wanted to make that clarification. Number two, just wanted to let everybody know that Wednesday night, 5 p.m. down at Heritage Park during the Heritage Market, they're gonna be doing the dedications for Steve Keefe for his motorcycle parking spot and for Carl Roth's dedication of the small pavilion down there. So the public is welcome to attend that dedication, that ceremony that will be happening. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of that. And that's it.
Great. The board members have anything? All right.
Good. Thank you for your good question. Need that.
Scott, anything?
No,
No?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Lou.
Scott. Thank
Good night.
I'm gonna go run into my office, so I'll give you, you wanna give me like 5 minutes and give me a call and we'll go through